The church bell had never sounded so cruel to Clara Whitcomb. By noon, nearly every soul in Mercy Ridge had crowded inside the town hall. Dusty boots scraped the plank floor. Men stood with hats in hand. Women whispered behind gloved fingers. At the front, Clara stood alone beside the schoolhouse donation box, her face pale but lifted. Mayor Harlan Pike held up a small cloth purse. $20 missing from the children's winter book fund, he said, and this purse was found beneath Miss Whitcomb's desk. A hard murmur rolled through the room. Clara gripped the edge of the table. That money was in the locked drawer when I left yesterday. From the back, Silas Vane gave a cold smile. He was dressed too fine for a cattleman, with polished boots and a silver watch chain across his vest. A thief always sounds wounded when caught, he said. The words struck Clara harder than a slap. She had taught half the children in that room. She had mended torn primers, brought bread for hungry pupils, and stayed late by lantern light so ranch boys could learn their letters after chores. Now mothers pulled their children closer. Then the side door opened. Dr. Elias Boone stepped inside, carrying his black medical bag. He had come straight from his ranch clinic, his sleeves rolled, his dark hair windblown, his eyes tired from too many nights beside sickbeds. He looked at Clara first. Not at the purse. Not at the mayor. At her. She did not steal it, Elias said. Silas laughed softly. That is touching, doctor, but feelings do not balance accounts. Elias walked forward. Neither do lies. The room went still. Clara felt her breath catch. Elias Boone rarely spoke unless a life depended on it. Since his wife died 2 years before, he had moved through Mercy Ridge like a man carrying a grave inside his chest. Mayor Pike frowned. Doctor, unless you have proof. I have a solution, Elias said. Clara turned to him, confused. Elias faced the room. Miss Whitcomb has no husband, no father living, and no family here to defend her name. That makes her easy prey. I will not watch this town throw her into the road over a purse planted by someone with cleaner gloves than hands. Silas's smile thinned. Elias looked at Clara again. His voice lowered, but everyone heard it. Marry me. A gasp broke through the hall. Clara stared at him. What? Marry me today, Elias said. My home is respectable. My name still carries weight. Until this is settled, no one can drive you from Mercy Ridge without coming through me. Her heart hammered. This was not love. It was shelter. A bargain made in front of people who had already judged her guilty. Silas stepped forward. Convenient, very convenient, a disgraced teacher and a desperate widower. Elias did not look away from Clara. You can refuse. Clara saw the town watching her like she was already ruined. She thought of her little schoolhouse, the chalk dust on her hands, the children's slates stacked neatly by the window. If she left now, the lie would become truth by sunset. She lifted her chin. I will marry Dr. Boone, she said. A shocked hush fell over the hall. By late afternoon, Reverend Colby stood with them in the small church office. Clara wore her plain blue teaching dress. Elias stood beside her, stiff as a fence post, his jaw tight. The vows were spoken without flowers, music, or smiles. When it was done, Elias placed a simple brass ring on her finger. His hand was warm. His touch was careful, as if he feared she might break. Outside, the prairie wind pushed dust across the street. Elias helped her into his wagon. The town watched from porches and windows. No one cheered. No one blessed them. Clara kept her eyes forward. The Boone Ranch Clinic sat beyond the dry creek, a long, low house with a porch, a medicine room, and a red barn behind it. Lantern light glowed in the windows as evening settled. Inside, Elias showed her a clean bedroom near the back. This room is yours, he said. Lock the door if it helps you sleep. Clara studied him. Why are you doing this?" His face tightened. "My late brother left this land tied in court. Silas Vane wants it. If he can prove my household is unstable, he can challenge the clinic claim." "So you needed a wife," Clara said quietly. Elias looked wounded, but he did not deny it fast enough. "And I needed a name," she added. The silence between them grew heavy. At supper they sat across from each other while the coffee pot hissed on the stove. Elias had made beans and cornbread. Clara ate little. At last he pushed a folded paper toward her. "I took this from the schoolhouse before Pike locked the door. I thought you should see it." Clara opened it. It was the attendance ledger. Her own handwriting filled the pages, neat and familiar. But near the back, beside the donation record, someone had written her name beside a false withdrawal. Clara's blood went cold. "That is not my hand," she whispered. Elias leaned closer. "You are certain?" She touched the ink with trembling fingers. "Someone copied me." A board creaked outside the kitchen window. Elias stood at once. Clara turned toward the dark glass and saw a shadow move away from the porch. Elias grabbed the lantern and opened the door. Cold prairie air rushed in. On the porch lay a torn scrap of paper, pinned under a stone. Clara picked it up before Elias could stop her. Written across it were 6 words. "Leave Mercy Ridge before court opens." Clara found the clinic door marked with black chalk before breakfast. One crooked word had been scrawled across the wood. "Thief." She stood on the porch in the pale morning light, wrapped in a wool shawl, staring at it while the prairie wind pulled loose strands of hair from her braid. The word looked ugly against Elias Boone's clean white door. Behind her, Elias stepped out with a tin pail of water. His face hardened. "Go inside," he said. "No," Clara took the wet rag from his hand. "They wrote it for me. I will wash it off." She scrubbed until her fingers ached. The black streaks ran down the door like dirty tears. Elias stood beside her, silent and close, his shadow falling over hers. Across the road, Mrs. Tully hurried past with her basket and would not look at them. Clara swallowed the sting. "Yesterday they trusted me with their children." Elias' voice was low. Yesterday they had not been told what to fear. Inside the clinic, a boy named Caleb waited with a split lip from a wagon fall. His mother hesitated when she saw Clara. Elias noticed. "My wife assists me," he said firmly, "or you may ride 20 miles for another doctor." The woman flushed and stayed. Clara washed her hands, held the lamp steady, and spoke gently to Caleb while Elias stitched the small cut. When the boy whimpered, Clara told him about a brave schoolhouse mouse who stole biscuit crumbs from the mayor's desk. Caleb laughed through his tears. For the first time since the town meeting, Elias smiled. It was small, almost gone before she saw it, but it warmed something inside her. That afternoon, Elias took Clara to the county office to file their marriage paper. The clerk, Mr. Bell, looked nervous as he opened the Boone inheritance folder. Clara saw Silas Vane's name on the top page. Elias' jaw tightened. What is he contesting now? Mr. Bell lowered his voice. "Your brother's will states the Boone Clinic land must remain in the hands of a stable household serving Mercy Ridge. Mr. Vane claims a widower living alone cannot meet that condition." Clara turned to Elias. "That is why you needed a wife." His eyes met hers, pained and honest. "Yes, but that is not why I defended you." The answer struck deeper than she expected. Before she could speak, Silas Vane entered the office, smelling of bay rum and dust. "Well," Silas said, looking at their joined papers, "a marriage made faster than a snake strike." Elias stepped between him and Clara. Silas smiled. "Court opens tomorrow. A stolen school fund and a rushed wedding will not impress the judge." Clara's hands curled into fists. Neither will forged ink. For the first time, Silas's eyes flickered. Only for a breath. But Elias saw it too. That evening, Clara sat at the clinic table with the attendance ledger open before her. Elias set coffee beside her and remained standing. "You should rest," he said. I rested while someone sharpened a knife for my name. She studied every line, every curve, every false mark. The copied handwriting looked close but not perfect. Her capital C curled too high. Her number 7 always carried a crossbar. The false entry did not. Then Clara noticed something else. The ink was brown, not black. She held the page near the lantern. Elias. He leaned over her shoulder, close enough that she could feel his breath still. "What is it?" "This ink is from the bank office. I have seen Silas use it when he pays school taxes. It dries brown." Elias' hand tightened on the chair. "Can we prove it?" "The school fund was counted last Friday," she said. "I wrote the total after lessons, but I did not write the withdrawal. If the money moved, someone had to put it somewhere." They rode to the bank before sundown. The banker refused them twice until Elias placed both hands on the counter and said, "A woman's name and a county hearing hang on this." At last, the banker checked the deposit book. His face changed. Clara felt her heart begin to pound. $20, he muttered, deposited yesterday morning into an account held by S. Vane. Elias looked at Clara. The room seemed to tilt. Silas had not only framed her, he had used the children's money to do it. The banker shut the book quickly. "I cannot hand this over without a court order." Clara nodded, but her voice shook. "Then we will ask for one tomorrow." On the ride home, the sky burned copper over the prairie. Elias drove the wagon slowly, his shoulder almost touching hers. "I was wrong," Clara said. "About what?" "I thought you married me only for land." Elias looked ahead. "And I thought you married me only for protection." Clara touched the brass ring on her finger. "Maybe we were both afraid to hope for more." The wagon wheels creaked softly. Elias turned to her. "Clara, if court frees you tomorrow, I will not hold you to this marriage." The words hurt more than she expected. Before she could answer, lanterns appeared ahead at the clinic. 3 men stood on the porch. The middle one was Mayor Pike. In his hand was an official notice. "Wait before we move on. What do you think about the story so far? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious to know." Clara stepped down from the wagon, her pulse racing. Mayor Pike would not meet her eyes. "By order of temporary county authority," he said, "Miss Whitcomb is removed from her teaching post until the hearing." Elias took the paper and read it. Clara saw the final line over his arm. "Requested by Silas Vane." Then a small folded receipt slipped from inside the notice and fell into the dust at Clara's feet. She picked it up. It showed $20 moved through Silas Vane's account. And beneath it was a second name. Mayor Harlan Pike. The courthouse bell rang while Clara held the receipt like a burning coal. By morning, Mercy Ridge had packed the county courthouse so tightly that men stood along the walls and women filled the back benches. Clara sat beside Elias at the front table, her plain blue dress brushed clean, her brass ring shining on her hand. Silas Vane sat across from them, calm as a preacher on Sunday. Mayor Pike would not look at anyone. Judge Mercer entered, gray-haired and sharp-eyed. "We are here to settle 2 matters," he said. "The charge against Clara Whitcomb Boone and the contest over the Boone Clinic land." Silas rose first. "Your Honor, the facts are plain. The school money vanished. Her name appears in the ledger. Then she rushed into marriage with Dr. Boone, a man desperate to save land he cannot keep alone." A murmur moved through the room. Clara felt Elias' hand cover hers beneath the table. Judge Mercer looked at her. "Mrs. Boone, do you answer?" Clara stood. Her knees trembled, but her voice did not. "I did not steal from my students." Silas smiled. "Then why does the ledger say otherwise?" Elias placed the attendance ledger before the judge. "Because someone copied her hand." The judge bent over the page. Clara stepped forward. "My sevens have crossbars, the false entry does not. My capital C turns inward, that one turns out. And the ink is brown, the same kind Mr. Vane uses at the bank office." Silas's smile faded. Judge Mercer turned to the banker, who had been called as witness. "Is that true?" The banker swallowed. "Yes, Your Honor. $20 was deposited into Mr. Vane's account the morning after the school fund went missing." Gasps filled the room. Silas snapped, "That proves nothing." Clara lifted the folded receipt. "Then this may." Judge Mercer read it slowly. His face darkened. "Mayor Pike," he said, "stand." The mayor rose like an old fence giving way. The judge's voice cut through the room. "This receipt carries your name." Pike's face crumpled. "Silas said it was only to remove her from the school. He said Dr. Boone would lose standing, the clinic land would pass to him, and no one would be hurt." Clara's chest tightened. "No one," Elias said, his voice quiet and dangerous. "You used children's money and ruined a woman's name." Silas stood sharply. "This is hearsay." Judge Mercer struck the desk with his gavel. "Sit down." The room froze. The judge held up the ledger. "The charge against Clara Whitcomb Boone is dismissed. Her teaching post is restored. The Boone Clinic claim stands. Silas Vane, you will be held for fraud, theft, and conspiracy pending further hearing." For one breath, Clara could not move. Then the children in the back began to clap. Their parents followed, some with shame on their faces, some with tears. Mrs. Tully stood and whispered, "Forgive us, Clara." Clara looked at Elias. He was not smiling with victory. He was looking at her as if she had just walked through fire and come out brighter. Outside the courthouse, Silas was led toward the sheriff's office. Mayor Pike removed his hat and sat alone on the steps, broken by his own cowardice. Elias walked with Clara to the wagon. "You are free now," he said softly. "No stain on your name, no need to stay my wife for protection." Clara turned to him. "Is that what you want?" His eyes lowered. "I want more than I have any right to ask." She stepped closer, dust curling around her hem. "Then ask." Elias took her hand. "Stay, not for court, not for land. Stay because this house feels alive when you are in it." Clara's eyes filled. "I was afraid you only needed me." "I do need you," he said, "but I love you more." The words settled over her heart like rain on dry ground. She touched his face, gentle and sure. "Then take me home, Elias Boone." 1 week later, the schoolhouse doors opened again. Fresh chalk waited on the board. New primers sat in careful stacks. The children crowded the steps, laughing as the brass bell rang above them. Clara stood at the doorway, no longer shamed, no longer alone. Elias came up beside her, carrying the restored attendance ledger. He placed it in her hands like something sacred. "For the teacher," he said. Clara smiled through tears. Then together, they stepped inside as morning dust shone gold through the windows, and every child in Mercy Ridge rose to welcome her home.